Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time dropping by, I welcome you specially. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I cover this 6 inches cake going on a 9 inches cake. Okay, it's actually a two-tiered cake. Alright, but I decided to film this part in order for me to show you how a panel cake is being covered. All right, so I had already prepared my fondant and I've coated the cake, yeah, in this video. But there is one thing I want you to note in covering using paneling method. All right, so one is, you have to measure the height and the width of your cake to know what size of fondant to roll out. For instance, in this video I have a 6 inches cake, and it's 4.5 inches tall, and 19 inches in width. So we can say it is 4.5 inches by 19 inches. All right, so I rolled out my fondant in these sizes with an extra 2 inches each, so that I can have an extra to cut off. In doing that, I have my fondant rolled out in 6 inches height, okay, and its width is 22 inches. All right, so another thing you should take note is that before you cover your cake with fondant, you have to level, you have to trim, and you have to crumb coat it, and ensure the crumb coat is sticky so that the fondant can stick so easily. All right, once your cake is crumb coated and is sticky, make sure your cake board is all well cleaned, and then your fondant is ready to go on your cake. All right, you also have to know the measurement of the top of your cake. All right, we call it the circumference. In this case, it is 6 inches. So the fondant for the top of the cake will be 8 inches, giving an allowance of 2 inches, for cutout. You understand what I'm saying? All right, having said that, we can now smoothen our fondant, okay, ensuring that it sticks well on the cake. Then we should now be ready to flip the cake over. Guys, I must say, if you are making a cake bigger than this, you have to ensure that you have eaten so well. All right, yeah, because sometimes the cake might be too heavy for you to handle in flipping. All right, having said that, you want to ensure, okay, that you get a sharp knife or a blade or a razor blade. Okay, we often use a craft knife to do this part. All right, to trace out our fondant, to cut the excess. You can get the craft knife. Sorry, you can get the craft knife from a cake shop close to you. So once your cake is flipped, you want to cut, like I am doing right now. You want to cut out the excess fondant, making sure your craft knife is close to your cake. All right, it's close to your cake, and then you trim carefully and neatly. All right, once that is done, you flip it over and get water or edible gum, like I am doing presently. In this video, I am actually using edible gum. Yeah, you use edible gum to apply. You apply it on the edges so that when the fondant comes on the cake, I mean the fondant that we are going to use to wrap it, the one on the table, when it comes on it, it gets thick. All right, it sticks well to it. All right, yeah, just watch. Yeah, I think I was actually trying to see if my crumb coating is still sticky enough, but I guess it's not. So I'm still going to apply some little buttercream on the cake to ensure that it's sticky enough for the fondant to stay on the body. Said, you have to ensure that your crumb coated cake is sticky for your fondant to be able to stick on the cake. Yeah, and if you're doing this, you have to do it neatly. All right, you have to do it neatly. All right, yeah, I think it's time for us to apply our fondant now. Look at the way I carried my fondant. All right, I was able to lift this fondant because it's a bit dried. It's been there for some time. Okay, I allowed AC to blow it so that it would be dried. And another thing I did with the fondant was to apply a little more CMC to it. All right, so that it can dry fast. All right, this is the part you want to be careful, guys. You want to be careful. You know, after lifting your fondant, you make sure that you use your fondant smoother to smoothen the sides of the fondant so that it can stick well to your cake. All right, you want to be really careful about this, please. All right, just make sure, concentrate more on the edges and the sides of the fondant to the cake. All right, just keep watching and learn. Then again, guys, this side you've got to be very, very careful, you know, to be able to cut the slit straight. Keep your eyes on it, you know, keep your eyes on it. You can use a new razor blade. Yeah, I was using a new razor blade. You can also use a craft knife, but to get my straight slit, I usually prefer using a razor blade. All right, but you have to be very careful using a new razor blade. Some people do cut themselves, really. Yeah, all right. So what I did there, you want to be really careful. You want your eyes to be on the fondant so that you don't make a mistake. You can actually cut it twice or 3 times just to ensure that you get a nice straight cut. Okay, so you fix your eyes on the line and then cut out. Yeah, all right. Then for the excess fondant, you can first use a scissors to trace out the fondant if it is disturbing you. If it's too high for you to handle, you can first use a scissors to cut it out. Then you can now use a razor blade to cut it round. Okay, you can use a razor blade to go around the cake to cut the excess fondant. Yeah, I think, see, this period, at this point, yeah, you can cut it, you can trace your slits 2 times, 3 times, 4 times until you get that straight slit. You get, right? Yeah. Then I think I realized that as I was cutting out the slits, I was lifting off some fondant, and the fondant was actually, you know, it got lifted with the crumb coat. So I have to reapply some buttercream on it. Then what I'm doing right now is to apply I was putting the edible gum, you know, to seal the fondant. I was using the edible gum to seal the fondant, so you won't notice there is a slit there. All right, even if there is a slit showing, even if the slit is showing, I will still show you how to cover up the slits. So stay tuned and just keep watching. All right. So using a sharp razor blade, your hand have to be steady. Alright, you want to be careful in cutting this excess fondant. Otherwise, you won't get that sharp edge that we are talking about. Alright, you just have to be very, very careful. Let your hand be steady, let the blade be straight. Then you just go round the fondant. Alright. You can see that our sharp edge is popping already. Some people do leave it this way. But I don't. Sometimes you just want to get that perfect look. you know. So what I do is to roll out a very paper-like fondant, as in very, very light fondant, and apply water or edible gum on top of the cake. Then place the paper-like fondant on it. I'm going to still show us how I did that. All right. What I did was I'd already rolled out the fondant, very light, and it's chilling somewhere on the board, somewhere around me. Alright, so after smoothing the fondant and everything, so I applied edible glue on top of my cake. You can either use water, just very little water, or edible glue. Put it around the top of the cake, on top of the fondant. Then you can now use your paper-like fondant on it. Guys, remember I mentioned that you have to measure the top of the cake, which is the circumference. All right, the circumference of the cake. The cake itself is about 6 inches, but because we have covered the side of the cake, it's not going to be 6 inches again. It's about 6 point something, lesser than 6.5 inches. All right, so what I did was I did not make, ideally you're supposed to roll out like an 8 inches paper-like fondant. Okay, you're supposed to roll out like an 8 inches paper-like fondant, but because I'd already rolled out this fondant, it's not up to 8 inches. As you can see, it's not up to 8 inches. So I managed it anyhow. I managed it anyhow, and the good thing is that it was able to go around the top of the cake, and I was able to still trace little. I think I traced about an inch or 0.5 inch out of the fondant. Okay, so you want to ensure that you flip over and trace it out with your craft knife or your very sharp razor blade. All right, then you cut it out. You look at that, you're already seeing your sharp edge popping, right? Yeah, that is it, that's our sharp edge. So what I would just do is just to pinch the edges with my fondant smoother, pinch them together so that the edges will come out very sharp like a razor blade. I hope you are enjoying this video. Guys, please um, click on the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my video. Yeah, then like, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and just enjoy watching, keep watching. And remember, I told you about the slits. If you don't want the slit, you don't want the slits to really show, you can roll out a very tiny paper-like kind of fondant as well, like I am doing right now, a very tiny one. Do your measurements, measure the height of the cake, then so that you'll be able to know the right fondant size to cover the slit with. I hope you understand my grammar. Alright, so I think the height was giving me about 6 points. It was giving me what's the height again? It was giving me around 4.5 inches high. So that was what I traced out on the fondant, the paper-like fondant. I'm trying to cut it out neatly so that I can place it on the slits. I'm applying my edible gum right now. Then once that slit is covered, it will just be like another design. The slit won't show, it will just be like another design. And you can actually use a flower, another design to cover it up so that it won't really show. And that is it. I hope you enjoy every bit of this video. If you do, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and remember to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my videos, any of my educative videos. I'm happy to share, and I'm glad you've been able to get one or two things from this video. Love you guys, and God love you more. Thank you. Bye.